Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. My next guest is Keith Montgomery, principal of CyberOI LLC, IconBank. All right, Keith, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael.
You have got some amazing stuff here. I was looking through this, and I think you're going to make a big change in the world, not just in our little microcosm of fintech, but this is big stuff. Give the audience a background on you, and I definitely want to get into CyberIO and this IconBank. This is amazing stuff. Please.
Oh, great. Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur, still owner of Cloudify and Discovix. That's a big data. The Discovix was a big data analytics. You would see it as AI or machine learning company. Cloudify, cloud. I've had exits of Avintel. These are mostly data companies, analytics, and things like that. But wherever there's a place to break a mold, where I see new technologies coming up, I really want to jump in. And a lot of times I could be early to the market, but in terms of the next thing that I've really been involved with, blockchain, I've been getting really excited because the market is moving so quickly that it's just so amazing to be able to, again, solve problems that we weren't able to solve before with the technology and mindset that we had. So also have big company background, governance and project management and executive positions and companies that are both tech and what we would consider more on the business side.
Now let's get into CyberIO. One of your hallmark statements is sustainable, disruptive management framework. Open that up for us.
Yeah, the SDMF, and just a quick thing. It's OI. It stands for organizational intelligence. It's just how you can make the organization more intelligent. So, if I were to really sum up SDMF, how do you sustain disruption? A lot of it is the psyche, and I know that disruption is a very attractive term for people, and they want to use it in their companies. But what I try to help people understand is how do you operationalize that and make it sustainable? And what you're really trying to operationalize is disruption being really a destabilization of the psyche. So how do you really get people to trust themselves so they're trustable, so they can be on teams and they can actually scale and create things that are great instead of always being disrupted in a way that causes more dysfunction? And I sometimes spell disruption not D-I-S, but D-Y-S to make my point clear.
Right. Okay. How do you do it?
Well, it's a pretty involved process, but at the end of the day, it's about helping folks understand how their minds work, especially when it comes to being disrupted, and how important it is to be able to be resilient. I talk about resiliency a lot, and so be resilient in terms of when you have change. And then there's project management methods. One's called Agile, comes from the lean systems thinking background, and it really allows people to take what they've learned about themselves in a process that allows them to basically say, okay, so what project do I need to get done, or operations do I need to address? And then they see it actually work. So if I had to answer it really quickly, it would be empiricism, right? You learn by doing. And as you do, you realize that making a mistake isn't the end of the world, and you're resilient because you realize you're able to disrupt yourself and be on a team that is able to be disrupted. So it goes both ways. So the idea of being dysfunctional, or the idea of seeing what it means to be dysfunctional, the team really starts to experience this in an operational capacity.
How does a company work and thrive in a disruptive-driven world and economy? I deal with my IT side more, and they're really that's where I get the biggest kind of frustration, is because they're so far advanced from me not being an IT person, that with all the disruptive thoughts and breakthroughs that they want to do, how do you congeal that? How do you bring that together so it works and moves forward?
Yeah. Well, it comes back to this trusting oneself. It's easy to say, but it's very hard to do. And what I basically talk about is your life works insofar as the agreements you keep. And so I get the teams to start to keep agreements with themselves first, to be accountable to themselves first, and to move away from the IT conversation, because that can drive things in a very fast direction that people don't speak the same language of. And I want everybody to speak the same language, right? I have a linguistic background too. So I think about language as, let's keep it simple, but let's start talking about what the reality of this is. And so when people start to just really understand what it feels like when you're being disrupted or being, like right on the verge of basically not going to be able to take any more information in, right? Then the teams are able to start to figure it out, because I believe teams have the answers already. They just have to be in a state of mind and a state of existence where they actually can get it figured out. So the how is often about them going through a basic understanding of what it is, disruption, what it feels like, what it looks like. And then when we add IT to the mix, they realize, wow, that's a great enabler, right? That's solving a business problem that we needed, but it now is something that fits into the mold, as opposed to something where they're trying to, again, speak another language.
All right. Now, there are a lot of new technologies that are coming out. Which ones are coming to the top of your list that could be disruptive areas for our lives?
So I get blockchain. It is so clearly something that blows my mind. And when I say that, I mean cloud. One of those things, you think about cloud, you're not using your server, you're using someone else's server. It's revolutionary. It has so much evolution to it, but it's easy to figure out. The same thing with machine learning, right? The machine gets smarter, human intelligence at machine speed. But when you look at blockchain, this is a decentralization. This is so different than anything I have ever thought or experienced, and I still don't have my mind fully wrapped around it. But you talked about IconBank. That's one of the companies I'm advising on, very serious about it, that's basically taking the blockchain and trying to understand how we can make it, what you were saying before, how we can make it so anybody can understand. And so they understand, what they need to understand in terms of how it could solve some problems that exist that you just couldn't solve before with the other technology. So definitely blockchain.
I want to talk. We have 2 minutes, or let's call it a minute and a half. I want to talk about this bank that you're talking about, IconBank.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're creating a bank for ICOs. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it a bank with a K, but a bank with a C. But yes, really, I'm trying to again break the mold. And what's currently happening now in the industry, right, in these ICOs, is really trying to bring a full service to it. So thinking about compliance, thinking about regulation, thinking about things that, again, back to that word sustainable, something that actually isn't just going to be raising money right now, but raising money for viable business, that could leverage this blockchain. And one of the other things we didn't talk about is I'm an advisor or board advisor for COI Security at the security firm. Security in the blockchain is so important and often like last on the list on the project. So yeah, we're creating this new kind of company, investment bank is how I would characterize it. And that aspect of it is really going to take in the security, the regulation, and then, of course, all the things that enable a company to raise money.
Wow. Are you raising money yourself for this to put up? Or, that's one of the hallmarks of the show, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, and always being available to that. But we have, yes, we've already got investors, and we've got other folks that are wanting to participate. Lots of people who have ICO ideas. Of course, we're calling through those. But yes, absolutely, we are looking for more participants, especially on the capital side in the United States. Preferably, of course, we take international, but that's a more difficult.
Keith, we've got to run. They're playing the music. I want to bring you back in and drill down into this some other time, all right? All right, Keith Montgomery, Principal, CyberOI.com. You've been listening to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thank you for joining us. The segment brought to you by Ticon Partners.